Guys, welcome back. I don't know what happened, but we just crashed. It just went out on its own and faded. So, anyways, guys, welcome back to my podcast of inspiring stories. This is Mevish here, and I'm here back. We were just having a conversation with Lisa, and I lost her. Go. I think she's confused on what happened. Oh, there she is. She's back. I don't know what happened. It just went boom, bang, and gone. Black
Aw.
screen.
Well, hopefully you can hear me better at least.
Yes, I can hear you better for right now, but let's see how it goes. Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
So where were we?
So you were talking about your childhood and how, excuse me, and how your childhood trauma and neglect, and because your parents were divorced, how that had and how people were telling you to move on, and you were like, to move on you were missing a step, and that step was to pay attention to your inside voice, to heal,
Right.
to validate your pain.
Right. And that was the instinct that was so frustrating because I didn't know how to do it. It wasn't taught to me, but I knew that I needed to follow that instinct, that intuition. And that intuition was was me, but what's so interesting to me is how culturally we are taught to not pay attention to that voice and keep just moving, keep moving. You're suffering, but you just ignore it and you move on, and you take a pill. You take a pill, you do this distraction. And I'm starting to see more and more that it's like we live in a culture of avoidance of our intuition. And like the way out of it is to say, how I feel matters. It's important. And I don't just suck it up and it is what it is. Like that phrase, it is what it is, drives me crazy. I'm like, ugh, what is what it is? I live a full life because I've trained myself, and I'm training myself to have the right people in my life that validate how I feel matters and how they feel matters. And everybody deserves to be respected and heard, and that there is no you're better than me, I'm better than you bullshit. We're all human, and we all have a right to be seen, heard, and understood. And so it's
Absolutely.
been a hard journey, I mean, but that's humanity. And to deny
Yes.
the hardness of life is to deny that life is hard. But
Mm,
if it's easy,
mm,
then what kind of a life is it really
mm,
if it doesn't
mm.
have struggle, if we don't embrace the comfort?
Right. That is so true, Lisa. And I think for us to really, when you were talking about parents and why you said that they were to blame, but they were also not to blame. It was really interesting because for most of us in our journey, we had to come to terms and realize that the generational trauma has caused our parents especially to put themselves in a box and believe that the reality is just living in that box, and if you step out, it's not safe. We go against the culture, we go whatever beliefs are around that. And for us to learn that no, it's okay to step out and dismantle that, has been an empowering journey. But I totally agree with you on that part, where for us to realize, and you know, each story is different, and to each their own. But for me as well, really to understand, because I came to a point where I become really bitter towards my parents, where, oh, if they knew this, they would have taught me this, or why they did this, it caused me this pain, just because of them I'm going through this pain. I really, one day I really asked myself, is that how I want to show up, with all the awareness, with all the understanding, with all the healing? Is that how I want to step outside, especially for my parents? Then I'm worse than them, because they live with not having the awareness. So they lack the awareness. So they don't know what they're doing. They think that is their reality and that is their truth and that is the right thing to do. But for me, I tapped in and was able to establish that no, this isn't okay. And raising my self awareness and becoming bitter was not really raising my self awareness. So I really had to sit with my feelings and say, okay, I was invalidated. I feel like I was abandoned for whatever reasons, but my parents come from a loving place. They wanted the best for me. They still want the best for me. And in their understanding and in their awareness, they are trying to do that. So I had to come with terms on that. And it's I wouldn't say it's been easy. It's been extremely challenging, and it still does get at times, because when we're not at the same wavelength, and they're trying to make their point, I'm trying to make them understand my point. But then just really to stop and reconnect and say, hey, listen, it's okay. Once you understand where they're coming from, they're not your enemies, they're on your side, they're just trying to look out for you. It, for me at least, I can say it really helped me communicate in a better way to what I wanted, as far as my emotions, my feelings, my future, my vision is and was concerned.
For me to not be stay in that place of bitterness and resentment is, to me, to get behind that and see that there's an a there's a reason for being resentful, and being bitter creates a playbook and a story that enables me to stay the same.
Mm.
You know? And so if I need to be angry at this person for being, on the narcissistic spectrum, for example, right, of my stepmother being a very difficult personality to be with, who is always very like superiority complex kind of orientation. But if I stay thinking that people like her reject me, then I'm waiting for rejection. And I'm extremely focused on the story repeating itself. So I like to get behind, because like, to me, there's more than just the conscious awareness. To me, there's what's the bigger picture? What's the pattern behind the story that I create? So the story was childhood, right? Like, but then there's the lessons in childhood that I learned that are shadowy, meaning that they don't serve me. And then there's lessons that empower me. And they're the same experience. It's just different ways to look at it.
Look at it.
Because you experienced something you didn't like. And then what does that clarify of what you do like, what you want? What did you experience that you didn't want? And that clarifies what you do want. And the hard part is expecting a different outcome. And that comes with introspection. Because I think if the same inner world doesn't change, then you're always going to project the same shit from happening over and over, which is why they say, you don't learn anything. You keep repeating the same mistake until you finally, and to me, the lessons get louder, right? And
Mm-hmm.
wait, the common denominator is me in this
Mm-hmm.
pattern, not
Mm-hmm.
serving, you know? And then at which point do I get support? And to me, the biggest magic is outing yourself, saying, I have a problem here. I keep repeating this pattern, and you out yourself to people who you feel psychologically safe with. Because if only you in a vacuum, you know, you certainly need to do that accountability piece of recognition of the pattern, right?
Right,
But
absolutely.
you don't out yourself with people and allow yourself that vulnerability and saying, I keep doing this, you know, and have else
Right.
reflect back at you going, yeah, you are doing that, but not in a judgment way, right? Not in
Right,
a,
absolutely.
oh, you suck for doing that. No, it's,
Mm.
I see, yeah, I totally get you're doing that. And you're,
Mm.
and something almost, I think, metaphysical happens because we are social animals and there's a network of supportiveness by sharing your truth and sharing your struggle with something. And then you have people, which I think is a big problem for a lot of people like myself, who never felt that they could trust anybody with you know? And so the anomaly of learning to trust people with your truth is what changes the pattern. It changes what you're receptive to, you know? I think
Absolutely.
journey to empowerment is like an alchemy, because when you finally take responsibility for the fact that, let's say, for example, with my stepmother, I took a submissive position, right? She acted like she was better than me, and I believed.
Yes.
Right?
Yes. Yes.
I was 9 years old, and that's what I was meant to learn in order to recognize that there's this hierarchy going on here, and I bought into it. And then the self-forgiveness of, oh, I get why I did what I did. She needed to act better than me because she felt lesser than, right? But that's what a superiority complex really is. Like people who have that bravado, you know, it's because they really feel this big, right?
Yes.
So
Yes.
it's so interesting. I love framing it all as lessons. And to me, that's journey and embodiment of allowing yourself to feel shitty without letting yourself be shitty, you know?
Yeah.
Oh, like,
Totally.
validate the experience, but it doesn't make me a bad person or a sub person, right?
Right.
Stuff, which I love that you're on the other side of the world and we're dealing with exactly the same thing, which is breaking the generational pattern of feeling like we have to accept things that are not acceptable.
That don't serve us in any way.
And it doesn't serve anybody, really.
Yeah.
That it serves are people who want to be serviced by servants, right? And like, we're more than just servants. And to me, the best relationships of equality are reciprocal in its service, right? So we're both being fed in this conversation, right? And the people listening, it's like a win-win situation. It's that superior inferior dynamic of people taking advantage of each other, right? And the exploitation model where somebody wins and somebody loses, and it's up to the loser position to stop the pattern, because the person benefiting, why would they want us to be coming?
Right, absolutely. That hits home so much, Lisa, because you see, one of the things I did in my personal healing, and in that space, I had no idea that social media could be such a strong tool to use. I was by myself, alone, sitting with my own thoughts, trying to get through the mess and saying, why is there nobody here to help me? Why is there nobody emotionally? Of course, I had all the other support, but emotionally, to really understand where I was coming from. And when I got to a point where I realized that I don't really need anybody from the outside, I just need to connect that disconnect that's been inside, that's where the void is. And when I did my healing, well, there are so many layers of it, of course, but to get to the main point was that when I went inwardly, my question always turned to, once I did the validation of the pain, this person did this, it was because of culture, it was because of this, of generational trauma. I really asked myself, like exactly your words. Now I'm an adult. What role am I playing in those patterns? Because if I'm going to repeat those patterns with the excuses that I've had all my life, then I'm going to produce the same results. And I'm burned out with my results. I'm burned out with my life. So what is that you want, Mavish? How are you going to change this thing? And I was lost. I was like, oh my God, my head is going to explode because I had no answers. And I didn't know how I'm going to solve this puzzle, this huge life puzzle that had just come instantaneously in front of me once.
The most important thing is that you are asking the questions, and then you have to wait, right?
Yes,
So I'm
yes, yes,
curious how you led to answers. Did you find
yes.
answers? What kind of
I
answers?
found I found tons of answers. One of the things I speak openly about is that I had to really realize that yes, I am a highly sensitive empath and I'm a good, kind person, but hell, I'm toxic, and hell, I've been playing the victim role, uh, and trying to get the sympathy and the empathy for all the crap I've been through, and that's why my life sucks. And I had made that pattern that living in the victim mindset would just save me from doing something that
Right,
was larger than me, and that was
right.
scary. Oh my gosh, to do that, oh my gosh, just to stand up for myself. Oh no, so I rather play the victim role and people empathize with me. And now I hate those words. I don't want empathy, I don't want pity. Game up yourself, right? But at that point, really, it was all about, oh, I love this, I love this. It's like an addiction when somebody says, oh Mavish, I feel sorry for you, you've been through so much. And it's like, yeah. And now it was like, really, okay, do you like it? Yes. It's addictive, yes. Are you going to continue that? And I was like, it was really hard, Lisa. It was really hard to let go of it, because it was embracing and entering into a place I didn't know. I didn't know what I would do in that place. How will I react? Will I succeed? What will happen to me? And if I fail, oh my goodness, the rejection that's going to come. But it was really empowering, because once I truly embraced myself with all my flaws, they started to lose their meaning. They no longer define me.
That's
They
what's
no
cool, right? The acceptance, just the learning to accept your all that you are, and the the fucked up stuff, and the flaws, and the confusion, and the negative, right? The negative
Hmm,
emotions.
hmm.
Then it's not so painful anymore,
It
because
wasn't. It was empowering, actually. It was so empowering to say, just look in the mirror and literally feel like, now I see myself, like I really see where I'm coming from.
so what I love words. I love to write. I'm a poet and all of this. The word allowance has
Mm.
double meaning, right? Because like there's like you get an allowance as you're like
Yeah.
giving money, right?
Yeah.
But you're receiving something, right? But is almost like that's receptivity. When you
Mm.
allow yourself to be as you are without shaming it, without condemnation, without judging it, and you love it instead, and you understand and say, oh yeah, perfect sense, that's why, you
Mm.
know,
Yes,
and
yes, yes, absolutely.
allowing other people to be as they are, and
Mm.
the pain is wishing they were different and
Mm.
wanting to control them
Mm.
being different. If only that person would value me, if only that
Mm.
person would, validate, not
Mm.
other people who could validate you, but for some reason it's only the people who
Who
don't
don't validate
that
you
want
want.
it. They're
Yes,
accepted. And then the
yes.
people who wanted to love me that I didn't want. And that's why I found attachment theory when I discovered attachment theory and how attachment, what is it called? Like attachment trauma, attachment traumas. Are you familiar with attachment theory?
I am with the attachment. Yes, yes, yes,
Okay.
but not with, yeah.
Yeah, what, like when there's like the epitome of like the codependent and the narcissist.
Yeah, yeah, right.
The chaser and the runner, you know, like there's that dynamic of who's always being distant and who's always being, you know, the anxious pursuant, right?
Yeah, yeah, right.
And I was very much locked into that. Like, why won't this person, you know, stop and turn around and meet me? Well, because I'm repelling them, and I want them to be different, right? And I'm not accepting that. But it was the people who were coming to meet me that I started to turn away, right? But in attachment theory, there's secure attachment, and then there's generally three different kinds of insecure
attachments. Yeah.
Created in childhood, right? Because the way that we were loved and mishandled and, you know, inadvertently or advertently, you know, mistreated, they create an orientation. And I found the language of attachment theory extraordinarily useful because I got to see I was in the habit of only loving, wanting people who didn't want me.
Didn't want me. Yes, yes, yes.
People wanted me, then they didn't have any value.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, yes.
Also became an intimacy issue for me because, oh my goodness, now I can stop running towards that person and they want to meet me there in that space of what I don't know what it's like for anybody to meet me in that space. I was in that space, and then when I learned in that space for myself and look at her and say, oh, I like how you look. I love your pictures. I love that I can see right into your soul, you know? And only when I saw and met myself in that space, and because I was running away from myself, turned around and I met myself, right? And that's empowerment, is to look in the mirror figuratively and own your own projections. And I do find, okay, she did the classic mirror work. You know, looking in the mirror can be one of the scariest things for people who run away from themselves, you know? So just stare yourself 1 minute in the mirror, you know?
Yeah. Or start with 30 seconds. Just start doing it. Bring it on. As long as you do something. That's what I say.
Yeah. And so I find that like our culture, and I speak in just a modern term, right? Our culture is like just so afraid to be. And the judgment, it's like we're always just dodging judgment. And, you know, to go into the mirror for 30 seconds and look at yourself and say, I love you in the mirror, and notice, observe all of the shit talk that comes up when you tell yourself you love you in the mirror. Like, you person, you, right? All of this.
Yeah.
But where did we get those words from? From culture. Culture is just like constantly, and I know it's this amorphous phenomenon, but it's a collective consciousness that is that says, you know, you're at risk for being estranged.
Yourself.
Yeah, you're at risk. Like if you're yourself and you don't blend in, then you're at risk for getting killed. I mean, that's ultimately the pattern. I think that why it's so scary to take on that true sovereignty. I think that's the threat that we kind of avoid. That's why we avoid ourselves, is because we feel like if we out in the culture that we live in, the normal mainstream society culture, sticking out means you're you know, you could be singled out for you know, for pain, right? But
Mm,
if you live in the culture beyond that veil, right,
mm,
which is growth, which is hope, which is abundance, right? So there's the scarcity victim mentality, and then there's the abundance victor, right? And it
mm,
just, I don't mean to sound so polarizing, but it's kind of like this big difference in mindset, but it's a real projection because you live one or the other, the abundance,
mm.
you know, and like
Right.
stick out in the abundance mindset is to say, I am who I am, and
Mm,
everybody's like, woohoo, that's awesome, we're with you.
mm,
We're all, we're all just reflections
mm.
in
Yes.
our beauty and in our flaws, our human,
Yes.
because we're
Yes.
all together. And
Mm,
that's why I love, thank God, surviving, walking through the veil from that conditioned, we're all there, we all are born there, you know,
mm,
born
mm,
as hell, you
mm.
know.
We're
And
born created like that in that space.
what,
We were born and created in that space.
we're born and created into that space.
Mm,
And I feel like it's the warrior, not necessarily warrior, but it's like this this hero's journey of
mm,
being strengthened and fortified by
mm,
calling things out for what they are. Going, something's not right with that, right?
mm, mm,
That's
mm,
the way to leadership,
mm. Yep,
and
I totally agree.
that's what we are.
Yes, yes. And I think culture has played globally such a massive role in taking away our power, in putting us in boxes and making us believe that living, like you said, that living in that box and putting the lid on and that's it. That's how we've been controlled and manipulated. And now, well, now we're in, I think we are in times of a lot of conscious awareness is arising. People are awakening to their true authentic selves, and I think that both the sides, both the extremes, need to really meet at right in the middle. I think that's where we're going to create the balance, because you're breaking one extreme, and you don't want to lead towards another extreme. So I think just coming in a beautiful way together right in the middle and finding that balance and creating that space for further generations is the mission for all of us in this space, actually.
I love metaphor. Somebody once told me is speak to the subconscious mind, right? And so you,
Mm.
when you're describing that phenomenon to me, I visualize the yin yang symbol, right? And the yin
Yeah.
all about polarities and harmony, right? So you have
Mm.
halves, they're incomplete, right? Their
Mhm.
two halves are incomplete, the black or the white, right? And then there's a
Mm.
little of each in each side, but where they meet, in the middle, right? The
Mm.
path along along the middle of the black and the white, that's the
Mm.
path, right?
Yeah. Yes.
And
Absolutely.
you can't have, it's, there's never just one or the other. And like,
Mm.
to love yourself is to love the light and the dark,
Mm.
and
Yes. Absolutely.
your tribe are the people that allow you to be fully human, right?
Yes. Yes. Absolutely. So, Lisa, what I want you to talk more about in what moment did you realize, or what was those moments when something, or was it the gray rock method, or was it just something? What happened where you stopped and realized and flipped your story, or flipped your narrative, or your mindset?
um you know, there's little bits and pieces of empowerment, and because I was very locked into a victim mentality, and I kind of kept on like regressing back in there in one way, shape, or form. But I would say that like what happened was that I was forced, when my stepmother's mother died, he started to like befriend me, and it was a very strange phenomenon because it was superficial, and I
Mm.
deal with pretending
Mhm.
that it was all, you know, all we were past it, like past it. And the word boundaries is what led me to taking a stand and saying, I can't do this. I can't be there for you after all the pain that you put me through and pretend that it didn't matter.
That everything is okay. Yeah, exactly.
No, so me standing up for myself and having boundaries a few years ago is what kind of was my rebirth, where I was like, I don't have to pretend it's okay. I don't have to pretend. I don't have to take the high road. Like, and that's the thing that we're culturally encouraged. Oh, take the high road, you know, and, you know, turn the other cheek.
Cheek, yeah.
And it's like, I'm allowed to be bad and take the wrong road. I'm allowed to like say, you know what? This doesn't work for me. I want this relationship, however superficial, because it just doesn't feel good for me. Honor my feelings. So, right, the codependent, I think, is conditioned to care more about the other's feelings.
Yes.
And what they live for is to manage other feelings. Because when their other people are okay, then they're okay.
They're okay, absolutely.
But but the anomaly, and to me, the alchemy, is to say that doesn't work anymore. It's what I want that matters. And honoring how I feel. So
my gosh.
That's the other thing when it comes to the light and dark is, you know, there's all these rules on how we're supposed to manage our relationships, but the ultimate compass is, how does this feel? Does this relationship feed me? Or does this relationship, you know, make me feel disingenuous, you know? And like some people would rather have the superficial, let's just get along. But I'd rather be stubborn and live in my truth than go to the family gatherings, you know, because to me, that's honest. And that feels good. What feels bad is having to freaking at the family.
Yeah, fake it.
And what somebody's there's a phenomenon that I discovered. It was a YouTube video. It's hilarious. It's called blarping.
Okay.
It's people emotionally dump on you and they don't ask you permission. They'll just talk and talk and talk and talk, and it's very narcissistic, where they assume you want to be this audience, right, for them to talk. And then you feel like you're being held prisoner to their chatting, and they're not reciprocating in the energetic exchange, right? So being blarped on, which I think is
very narcissistic, I would say.
Yeah, and it's cultural, happens all the time, but
all the time.
Not acceptable. I refuse to be blarped on. It's a no. It's a no. It doesn't feel good. And as soon as I feel somebody's blarping on me, I exit.
Right. You know, it's really interesting because we live in a culture that loves blurping. I mean, however you pronounce it, we are born and we are raised in a culture that's highly dependent on pleasing others. The elders, oh my gosh, the elders take the lead, and we were not allowed to speak back. We were not allowed to be disrespectful. We couldn't be ourselves, and then that just shaped us and set us up for the toxic marriages or the toxic relationships. And then these elders turn around and say, oh, you messed up your marriage, you messed up your, there's something wrong with you. There's nothing wrong with me. You were all wrong in raising me wrongly. So hello.
And the cultural phenomenon of bypassing our individual feelings for this concept of a greater good, of a superficial harmoniousness, of getting along, but people really don't even enjoy each other's company on that level, you know? So to bypass our true feelings for the good of the family, for the good of marriage, it's for whose benefit? Like, you know, my mother said on my brother's Facebook page, because they had anniversary, she said, what more would a mother want than her son to be married, you know? And I was like, oh my God, this is so, like, is that really the measure of like a meaningful life? Wow, it really, I mean, it was surreal. The comment was like, oh, like, but that was her conditioning, like just being, and I'm just like, wow, it's amazing how some people just really need to be in the boxes. They need boxes because they're too scared. They don't want to explore. And it's that like, I need to be safe in that box, because to question it is not in
it's going to shake their reality. It's going to shake their whole existence. It's going to change everything for them, and they're not ready for that. And even for our elders, like if I see my parents and all that, I mean, they're in their late 60s, 70s, you know, for them to really shake up and wake up and realize they spent a whole life that was not really a truthful life, it can be really scary. And to really approach them with compassion is so essential. I really want to take a minute, Lisa, and acknowledge somebody here. She was saying something, and she said, I turned the other cheek even after he broke my cheekbone. That woman no longer exists. Oh my gosh, I feel you there. And then she says the unhealthy dynamic ends once we stop seeing them as broken rather than choosing to behave in an evil manner. Yes, yes. One of the things I really want to highlight while we're having this conversation is, I think I've come to a space where I think I feel comfortable in saying some certain things, and I know there are a lot of people in this space who are not at which level I am. So it might come as a shocker, or you might feel uncomfortable, because these things I wouldn't be ready for a few years ago. But right now in this space, I think I can now say those. And that is that if you have no boundaries, you're very toxic. Remember that. Boundaries are going to save you from being toxic and attracting toxicity in your life. So don't just think that the boundaries is just to keep the toxicity away. It's going to save you from becoming toxic yourself. You know, boundaries is telling people and communicating what you're not going to tolerate, that you deserve to receive respect regardless of the differences, regardless of a different vision or whatever.
And
So
for
really,
the path to recognizing if you have boundary issues is, how do you feel about confrontation? How do you deal with confrontation? I think that's such a great witness of checking yourself and your relationship with boundaries, because when there is a problem, how do you go about with another person? Go dealing with it, and how do you feel when you approach the situation? Like, or do you not approach the situation? You know what I mean? And like,
you react or do you respond?
yeah, and like not having boundaries usually equates to having addictions.
Yes, I totally agree. Different, and they're different kind of addictions, right?
Right. Well, there's the coping mechanism, and I love that.
Yes.
The word of a coping mechanism. For example, for me, when I started to assert myself, I felt like I was gonna die when I would confront people with my truth. Like, I literally felt like I was having a panic attack, but I said anyway, because I knew that I needed that. I needed to just survive through that confrontation and speak my truth. And it takes practice. you know. And
It
there's
takes, absolutely.
some people say that CBT, I have not tried that form of therapy, but some people say that that could be like a really great way to strengthen.
Yes, 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 yes. I did look up a lot of videos on that too for myself. They do help, and just I just lost my trail of thought over there. I'm
Oh,
sorry. Uh, anyway, coming back to boundaries. So I just really want to say that once again, just really reevaluate this and understand that if we do not have boundaries, we are going to unknowingly also break other people's boundaries because we're not aware of what boundaries are for, why are they so essential. So we're going to walk over everybody's boundaries as well. So please, it's a really, it's not just set boundaries, and we're just talking in this space, set boundaries, but it's so many layers of understanding why boundaries need to be in place. And these are just some of the things I wanted to share since you brought that up.
so what is the function of boundaries? Let's just, I mean, let's really kind of isolate, because I think it would be a great thing to articulate. Why do we need boundaries? What are boundaries?
Mm.
People don't even know what they are, or their
Mm.
understanding of boundaries is like, you know, if you don't know what your needs are because you're not encouraged to have your own needs or to acknowledge your own feelings, you're going to have boundary issues, right? So how
Mm.
get the boundaries? How do you recognize what your boundaries are? Is
Mm.
what you prefer, and how do you feel?
Mm. Yes, absolutely. It's understanding, it's having that inner dialogue with yourself and understanding what are my needs, what are my wants, what am I willing, how far am I willing to go, where am I going to draw the line, what I'm going to tolerate, what I'm not going to tolerate, why I'm not going to tolerate, and really understand that for yourself uh in your space. Because really, if I look back at myself, I had no idea what I really wanted, even emotionally, what I wanted for myself. Did I wanted happiness? Did I wanted peace? What do I really want for myself? And what I felt was everybody's emotions were dumped on me, and I was getting their emotions, thinking that they are mine, owning them as if they were mine. And then I said, okay, okay, this one goes out. This is not me. This is not me. Oh, and there you go. After digging in that hole, there I am. Okay, that is what I need for myself. Okay, so what does that mean? Well, at that time, I didn't know what. Well, you need boundaries and stuff, but at that time, I was just learning, and it was like, okay, there after digging in, throwing out everybody else's emotions, lies there, the real me, telling me this is you. And like you said, confrontation was one of the biggest things to really go out and have that dialogue.
Right.
And it was like my
Phenomenal.
heart is going to come out, like it's coming out. I'm going to have this conversation with him or her. It's going to come out. I can't do that. I'm going to have the panic attack. But guess what? I said, I'm going to do this,
Right.
and I immersed in it.
Because we're not attached to what they were going to think of it, right?
Mm,
And it's the
right.
internal anchor of saying,
Mm,
I don't care about the outcome of speaking my,
mm,
and that's where the freedom is.
yes.
Because
Yes.
if you have the freedom
Mm,
to take space from a relationship,
mm,
right? That's where the codependency is. When there's the codependency, you can't deal with somebody not liking, you know,
you
right?
being the good one, you being the pleaser, you always putting up being the pleaser and making sure that their feelings are not hurt, regardless of how you feel, regardless of how many times you want to say no, I'm not interested, whatever. It's always about others, right? And really to step in. Oh my gosh, it's so funny, Lisa, because when I started to do that and see, okay, I'm going to say no and I'm going to stay on it, and I don't care what they think, they can go on with all their judgment. And that was like, shit, I feel good. I don't feel bad. This is really good. I can get used to this, right? And then I did see that I did have my weaker moments where I was dragged back into it. And then so it's a back and forth, and you learn. and remember, boundaries can change over time. You can change them, you can redefine them, because you see, we are growing, we're evolving. If we're not growing and evolving, then that's a sad story of our life. So we're going to change and evolve, and so are our boundaries. And one thing more I want to add before you say something, Lisa, is that your boundaries do not have to make sense to anybody but you. If they
Yes.
make sense to you, that's all you need to know. Whatever it is, if that one boundary makes you come to peace or gives you what you're looking for while putting it there, that's all you need to know. Period.
Yeah. So I love this conversation. I don't remember what I was gonna say other than, you know, oh, I remember now, because I think it's very easy to regress with boundaries when we're moving too fast. And
Mm,
for me, my saving grace is to honor my own process. And when something
mm,
happens, I take a moment to reflect upon it.
mm,
Because, like, let's say, usually what happens if something happens and something was off for me, right? Or something, I get a sensation in my body, usually in the solar plexus, right? Usually right in my gut, because my
mm,
gut is like, something's up. My gut is telling me what's up. Something happens. You just, and it's because life is so, it moves so fast in our
mm,
interactions with people. It's so easy to just bypass, right? But
mm,
slow down, and that's the trick, is
mm,
taking your time, claim
mm,
your time, instead of just minimizing, because that's how things keep going and going, and that's how the patterns keep playing out. But when
mm,
you slow it down, and that's the thing that's scary to so many people, is
mm,
people who say to me all the time, oh, you meditate? I can't meditate. And I don't even like the word meditation, because I know that it's like triggering, and people automatically say they can't do it. And I'm like, that's interesting. You
mm,
can't just be. You can't just be.
mm,
Think about that. And it's not,
mm,
then let yourself off the hook,
mm,
because why can't you be either way? It's not your fault. That's how
mm,
you were trained. You were
mm,
trained to not be. You were trained to bypass. Oh,
mm.
bypass until there's an explosion and you want a divorce, and that person has no fucking idea that there was anything wrong, right?
Mhm. Yes, yes, yes.
And that I've done that in my past too,
Mm.
where I didn't
Yes, yes.
ability to articulate my boundaries. So
Mm.
I think that's one of the reasons why COVID was a blessing, and I think that's what
Oh,
spurred
yes.
the kickoff of this mass awakening that people are always talking about, is that
Mm,
we're forced to be with ourselves. We were
mm,
forced to be with it, and it sucked. It was
mm.
hard, you know.
Yeah, yes.
Also, not so bad, because we got
Mm,
to take a break.
mm,
Not every,
mm,
but a lot of people were
mm,
forced to be with themselves, and stay in their pajamas, and you know
mm.
feel a little funky, but we were forced to
Yes.
sit down. And it's that feminine energy, which is stillness, right? Because
Mm,
young masculine energy is action, go, go, go. And
mm,
so we're pulled into this feminine energy of, then you
yes.
reflect, because you can't see
Yes.
the water is moving, right? You can only
Mm,
see when the water is still.
mm. Yep,
Give
absolutely.
yourself, claiming your entitlement to that
Mhm,
kind of stillness,
mhm,
that's the empowerment piece of, my time is mine, and if something doesn't feel right, I can take the time, because the scarcity mentality is, I don't have time.
mhm.
Wow, you don't have time in your own life. What
For
is the
yourself.
way?
Yep,
It's
yeah.
it's your life. You
Mm,
don't have time for yourself, for your own
mm,
thoughts in your own life.
mm.
Wow. And it's
Yes.
awareness that, to me, everything comes down to awareness.
Yes, same here. It's all about raising that awareness, connecting with your heart, and it's so true because you see, I am okay overthinker. Okay, I'm an overthinker, and then I overthink. Why I'm overthinking? The overthinking thing. So for me, it's constant, and I dream every night, and I have lots and lots of dreams, and people could never get that. You dream every night and lots of dreams, and you remember them also. And I say, yeah, and that's been my life, and they can't really relate to that. So it's been for me the overthinking while I'm overthinking, coming to a place where I meditate and I tell my brain, shut up, you do what I tell you, and right now this is my time. So I'm going to sit quietly in stillness and enjoy this space and just focus on my breathing. And you are going to cooperate. So just shut up. And it worked. It just worked. And now I know when to shut my brain off when it's trying to make a story around something that's not real. And I say, we're not going there. Like, hello, in the present, let's go touch some flowers. Let's slap ourselves. And it really helps in so many ways because you have clarity, you're more aware, of course, but you're more present, and you have a sense of direction.
I'm so excited because what that the person who was yelling at your brain, the, the the being in that scenario when you were like, "This is my time," that was your heart. That was your heart that
So
is
yeah.
stronger than your mind.
Mm.
But we don't realize that it's stronger,
Mm.
and so we put it in its place, right? And there's a quote, and you can Google it. It's like the mind is a great servant and a terrible master, right? The mind is meant to like help us, right? And your overthinking is trying to protect you, right? It's that influence that made you who you are, you know. But when you're in that space and you claim, and it's that the heart is the observer, because the heart, the center of your human physical form, right? Not your brain, right? You can put out your brain. You could be brain dead and still your heart will beat. Your heart is done. Your brain doesn't function. You're dead. Like, your heart is over, and that's like, I mean, I'm very geeky with the anatomy of it all because it's very practical, and I think it beyond that whole new age, you know. Oh, it's your heart. No, it's your fucking physical heart. You know,
Right.
that holds it out, and when you're connected to your heart, you can put your thinking in its place. And I just love that, because, and I'm totally going to take that too the next time I struggle with my ego, with my mental monkey mind starting to go, oh, you really, and my monkey mind is really good at telling me I have to take care of something and I need to stop it. Like, there's something really important that I need to take care of. And then there's that rationality of like, but Lisa, you sat for 5 minutes and that's good enough, right? And there's that, so there's like this, it becomes a bit of like a bargaining situation, right? With your like, where I could let myself off the hook. And if I choose to, that's okay too. You know? And so like, but we all know that sitting for the full time that you want to sit for is really what the best. And it's the most, it's how you feed yourself the best. But you choose to give in to the thought and it controls you because you needed to do something else, that you can honor that, and it's nothing to be ashamed of.
Yes.
It is a pattern of shame, I think, that makes us club ourselves over the head with you did something wrong if you didn't do it the way you thought you needed to do it. It's fascinating. I mean, we really need structure. I would say the biggest thing that I'm still working on is the call for having more structure in my life.
Yes, we all are, aren't we? Structure is going to come, structure is going to, Lisa, but structure is going to come from journaling. Structure is going to come from having that time to sit in stillness and pay attention and be the observer of yourself, right? Just sit and observe. Okay, this is what's been going on here, because we don't sit and observe. That is why we don't know when it surfaces that time. And then you're like, oh, why did I snap? Oh, well, now you would understand why you were snapping. And for people who are listening in this space, somebody said, it's unbelievable what I've learned so much on Instagram. Thank you. You're absolutely welcome. And people who are in this space and who are saying, oh, I can't meditate, oh, I can't journal, trust me. I've had clients who've come to me and said, Mavish, I can't journal, writing is not for me. And I said, could you write a line, maybe a line a day? And they would laugh at me and say, a line a day, yeah. And that build on their writing. So don't think that anything small cannot lead you to do anything big. And what I did with myself was 5 minutes. So let's say if I was to get up at 6 a.m., I started getting up at 5:55. 5 minutes. Let's start with 5. Okay, that's too hard. I started with 1 minute. See, I'm telling you, I'm an overthinker. So to really train myself, oh, 1 minute's easy. That I can do that. 1 minute. Well, you're just waking up. That's very easy to do. Just sit there 1 minute. It actually just tapped into my subconscious mind to obey. So 1 minute, okay. And it just flowed after that.
Right.
It just started happening on its own. I was like, wow,
Showing up. The hardest part is getting your butt onto
taking the first step.
The hardest part is that. And I joked around with, clients saying, you hate going to the gym, just go to the gym and park the car and then leave. And they would be like, really? I'm like, yeah, just go to the gym, park the car and leave. If you hate going to the gym, just go, stop there. However much you want to go 3 days a week, just let me know. I parked the car and I'm out. Okay, done. And that's one of the reasons why I have my embodiment practice. When I meditate, I focus on my alignment. And that's getting into the body and encouraging self-acceptance. So when I tuck my chin and I put my shoulders back and I sit on my sit bones and I acknowledge where I feel tension and pain in my body, that's meditation. And everybody knows there's like 50,000 different ways to meditate. And to me, just observing my beingness is enough. And it's that enoughness piece where I feel valuable because I'm just being, and that's enough. Showing
Absolutely.
up,
Yes. I remember, I think we're going to pretty much wrap up pretty soon, but I really want to share something really interesting. I was sitting this one morning and my daughter comes to me and she says, Mom. So I was in my own zone, right? And so I didn't reply. So she thought something happened. So she came to me and she shrugged me. Mom, you okay? Like, yeah, I'm fine. I was just meditating, just sitting with myself. And she's like, how could you do that? Like, how could you just, don't you get bored? Isn't it like how do you do that? And I was like, no, actually, it's amazing because now when I sit, and like you said, it's just connecting with your beingness, right? That moment when I really sit with myself, whether it's 10 seconds, whether it's 1 minute, whatever it is every day, it has just showed me how much gratitude I have for being alive. I'm alive today. I can feel my hands today. There is so much I could do today. And for the most part, since I come from a place of God created me. Wow, I'm a creation of God. That is something to celebrate. I did not go and order this for myself. This is how I want. All God's creation. And that's been so empowering for me lately because it's just shifted. My mind is just shifted to just acknowledging that I'm a creation of God, and that is so much to be grateful for. And guys, journal, meditate. And another thing I want to add is she said exercise. I hate exercise. Oh my God, take me to the gym. I won't do that. So for me, what I've did is add movement in my life. And what I did is I love dancing. Oh, I'm so tired today. I don't want to dance. Oh, I have to dance 15 minutes. I can't do that. Okay, why don't I put some nice music on to change my mood? So I put some like dance music on. It just changes my mood. Understand how you're going to change your emotions. Once you master your emotions, you can change the whole psychology of yourself and your life, the whole direction. You just have to understand, because for some days I just wake up and I'm like, oh, I can't do this. I set these goals and now I can't do these goals. How do I not let my emotions control me, but I control them? And that's like, okay, one of the things that work instantaneously always is having movement. For me, for some people it's exercise, and of course meditation and journal work, but movement, just making your body move. It's that connection. When you move, you feel the rhythm that you feel when you move your body. So whatever works for you, do that, guys. Do that, do that, do that. Lisa, thank you so much for this phenomenal conversation. Oh my God, I can go out the whole night. But Lisa, I want you to come back again, of course, and I want you to do tons of podcasts with you. You have so much that I can learn and everybody in this space can learn from. So we will definitely bring her back, guys. Guys, I hope you enjoyed as much as I did. And I want you to know, remember, when I do these, it is to tell you that every story is important. Your story is important. Pay attention. Your story is going to help you create the life you're wanting. You just have to be the observer of your own story. Number one. Number two, don't box yourself. Please don't listen to me and her and think this is right and you're going to do that. Create your own uniqueness through your own story. That is going to be empowering. That is when we come together in this space, you will have your uniqueness to share with us. Whatever good you've taken, take it and see how it's going to work in your life for you. And that's all. Lisa, your final words for everybody listening to you.
I just feel compelled to share. When I sit down to meditate, I light a little Palo Santo or a stick of incense. I light a candle in for the light, and I say, I bless the directions. And in addition to the directions, which I usually sit in the east, so I start with myself, the south, the west, the north, as above, so below, so within, so without. Just honoring that all of it is connected, and to be thankful for all that is. So thank you. This was really a lot of fun.
It was. It was. Thank you so much. Guys, for those of you who are interested in connecting with Lisa, I did tag her. I will tag her again after I post this podcast. Connect with her, talk to her. I do believe she's writing a book, aren't you, Lisa? You're writing a book, right?
Yeah, it's about
Ooh,
alignment.
I can't wait for that.
Yeah, I'm excited too. Thank you. It's my first
Yes.
book. Woo!
Woo! Yes, yes, yes. I'm also writing my book. When is your book coming? Is it going to come next year? Do you think so?
In spring.
Ooh, there we go.
I'm looking forward to reconnecting.
Yes, yes, definitely. We will connect and we will bring you back and talk about so many things with you. And of course, when your book launches, I need you back on my podcast because we need to talk about that book as well. All right, guys, take very good care of yourselves. Have a wonderful night, day, evening, wherever you are in any part of the world. I love you all. I'm sending you so much love and blessings. We are out. Thank you, Lisa. Bye bye, everyone.